The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
You are listening to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with a sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Sports Network. Listen in as Brent and Dave invite you to belly up to the bar with them to talk about everything in the world of sports, just like you would do at your favorite watering hole. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so belly up to the bar with us, grab a beverage, and let's get into it. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer sports talk and a whole lot more. Episode number 396 on this 6th day of May 2024. Tonight's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save some $20 on your first purchase. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all the great sports articles and other great podcasts, such as my guys over there at Craft Brewed Sports. Watch on Tuesday nights. Make sure you watch Scott and Mike and the guys over there and Mookie and everybody else they got going on over there. And thank you very much for everybody who listens to our show on a daily basis from all of us here at 1420 World Headquarters. Dave, we'll get into the hockey and everything else later on, but this morning when I was at Spit Stadium there by myself, I go in quite a bit earlier than everybody else, and I listened to Jim, fan of the van. He got a little bit of a revitalization this morning, talking about Michael Jordan and The Last Dance and Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. It was a great show by Jim, fan of the event. So if you guys want to listen to that one, make sure you give Jim a listen, because it was a very, very good show. He kind of went back to his original roots a little bit this morning. It was good. Whitey still made an appearance, but it was a very good show from Jim this morning.
I started it, but I didn't finish it. But I did earlier this morning read on the Twitter machine I think Michael Wilborn is his the commentator's name, the sports personality, and that broke down the comparison of what Jordan did in the playoffs versus LeBron, and for people our vintage, in which Jim is, like, I get it, you're a little bit younger than us, Jim. We were lucky enough to see Jordan's greatness in the playoffs, and then when you stack them up, already being skewed to being a Jordan fan over a LeBron fan, it makes a very compelling argument that the Jordan is the playoff GOAT, not LeBron James, and it's not even really that close.
No, it was a great list this morning. Thanks very much, Jim. Got to have you on our show sometime really soon. I know he's a busy guy and everything else, but anyways, Dave. Well, it happened again. There ain't no getting around it. We're talking, obviously, the Toronto Maple Leafs lost Game 7 to the Boston Bruins on Saturday night in front of a national audience of 70 billion people in Canada and right across the United States. Since the Toronto Maple Leafs have not beat the Boston Bruins in a playoff series since 1959, and it happened again. And this time the Leafs delayed the agony even further, went to overtime in Game 7, which they've done just in the recent past again. But once again, Leafs Nation went home crying after the game on Saturday night. What was your father-in-law? My father-in-law was here watching it, and me, and I've never heard Peter swear like that all at once. Like when the Leafs scored, he gave a very, very emphatic pumpernickel when the Leafs went up 1-0, and they gave up the tying goal, and then obviously the overtime game-winning goal early into overtime. I've never heard expletives like that in my life that I heard from Peter Michailopoulos on Saturday night. I kept mine to myself a little bit because it was such a sudden, quick ending of that game. What was Dennis's thought process? I know you didn't go watch the game with him on Saturday, but when you talked to him maybe yesterday, what was his thought process on the Leafs once again losing to the Boston Bruins in the playoffs?
He was really calm. Like he was not expecting him to win. Like, I think he's just now at the point he's defeated. Like he doesn't believe in this team. He really doesn't. And when you're faced with that and knowing that this isn't their year, like the way they played against Boston, they deserve to lose. I don't care that they fought back and got it to Game 7. And the overtime goal is. It appeared to me as a non-hockey coach that They were fucking lazy on defense. They watched Boston dump it in on a set play, and they watched the puck bounce to the front of the net, and they watched one of Boston's most skilled players tuck it in the corner there. Quick deke. Like it was. That's why you lose, Leafs, because you don't fucking care when the rubber hits the road.
Yeah, it was something else to watch. Like you watched the highlights after it was all said and done, and it was so shocking that it was just done. Like the dump in happened, it was just over. Like what the fuck just happened here? And you watch the highlights afterwards. You saw Marner not back checking. You saw Riley not doing what he was supposed to be doing, and even the goaltender Samsonov should have went in the corner if he would just put a stick on it and chipped it away. Like not going to the corner, but if he could have just done something, anything. But the three of them did nothing, and you're like, there it is right there. And then you hear like stats are for losers and stats are for idiots and nerds and everything else. But it was a great stat it makes this one actually made sense. The Leafs have scored 2 or fewer goals in 14 straight, or no, it's 15 straight playoff games. If you're asking your goaltender to pitch a shutout or a 1 every night, you're fucked. You ain't doing it.
Especially when half your fucking salary is tied up in 4 guys that are all on forwards, right? Point of game players, 70 goal players. Like, I get it. Matthews was hurt, but fucking that Mitch Marner can fuck right off. Like, I can't imagine one fan that wears the blue and white wanting to see him re-sign for Toronto. He has the intestinal fortitude of a fucking jellyfish.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
No,
and then
keep going. Sorry,
did you see this interview he gave today? Like where they were
I was tuned out. I was going to listen to Overdrive after work today, but I got doing something else. I wanted to hear what they had to say, because obviously out in Toronto, Leafs Nation, very strong. I don't know what did he have to say?
It was like ask him if he wants to come back and wants to sign here. He goes, "Yeah, I want born and raised here. I don't want to play for any other team. You know, this place is so great to play hockey. You're treated like gods here, and I don't want to play anywhere else." Well, then how about you fucking chip in a couple apples in the playoffs, you fucking, instead of being a baby on the bench, throwing your gloves, being a whiny little tit. I don't care about Toronto. The Leafs, I kind of now have a little bit of want for them to win, only because of friends of mine, yourself included, and my father-in-law. But, you know, if you're going to construct a team like this, it might be time to look into divorcing this team, because you ain't doing it with this fucking squad. I don't know how Shanahan has a job. Treliving is his first year. But, you know, like it's a team that can't win, period.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. They're 10 years or whatever it is into the Shanna plan, and what's it done? Like, what's it done? And like
one victory, one
playoff round. That's it.
Yeah.
And like eventually, and that's the thing that the Toronto's got a little bit, is that they have a fan base that's huge in Toronto and right across the country. So they don't necessarily need to win, but eventually you kind of start to fucking need to win. Like, it's just like the building might be full, but it gets it when you get to a point as a fan base, and you do well in the regular season, you win 40, 50 games, whatever it might be, and then you get 4 more games or 7 more games, whatever it might be. Like, it's old. It's fucking old, because right now the Leafs. And I don't want to make this a complete Leafs thing. We'll talk about other franchises done it as well. But like right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs, as of this moment, are 13 wins short of winning the Stanley Cup. That's a lot. Like that's a lot. And they've been 13 to 16 wins short for a very, very long time. And eventually fans just go like, what am I doing?
It was. I did listen to the Barnburner boys, and they were talking about it. And I don't know which Leaf said this, but it was brought up that, oh man, we were so close. We were so close. And then Warner's like, close to what? Close to getting your ass kicked by Florida in the next round? Like, you're not fucking close. Like, the cup is the thing, not winning round 1. You did that last year, and then you got steamrolled in the second round. So you're not close, and that's the thing. Well, we got bad matchups. You're gonna have to be. That's a loser's excuse. You have to play these teams if you want to win the cup. You're gonna have to beat them sooner or later, and it's fucking win. Don't show up like a bunch of fucking high schoolers working off a hangover for game 3 at home. Get booed off the ice. That's not maximum effort. You don't want to win, and you're being coddled by the media and the fans, and this is what you fucking get. You get good tea times. That's what you get.
To say that you're close, I heard, I listened to some stuff yesterday morning. I was down here bright and early doing some work things, and you listen to some different podcasts and different YouTube shows, everything else, and you're like, we're close to what? Like Warner said, close to what? Like, if you look at these other teams across the league, like you look at Colorado, they're just like how they just beat the living shit out of Winnipeg. And Winnipeg is close, is what they said. But Winnipeg is just as far away as Toronto is, if not maybe a little bit close, because they got a better goaltender. And Winnipeg ain't fucking close. So close to what? Like, eventually teams have to take a long, hard look in the mirror, right from the GM up to the president to ownership, whatever it might be, and go, fuck, did we make a fucking mistake? Like,
for sure.
We never had to give Tavares $11 million because he was going to play in Toronto no matter what. When he signed in 2018, I think it was. Actually, it was 2018 on July 1st, 2018. I was at Coney Island, and Deanne was all hyped up that Tavares was coming. I was like, who cares? Like, who cares? Like, it's John Tavares, good player, but all of a sudden he's 6 or 7 years older now, and what's that get you? And you got one more year on his deal, and like you can't. And the salary cap is hard and everything else, but other teams find a way to do it.
You're not the only one.
Other teams have won Stanley Cups since the Stanley Cup, since the salary caps come in. Like, it has to be more than just it's got to be a mentality. It's got to be a franchise mentality, not just the players. Like, to say that your team is close when you're still 13 wins away. 13. Like, that's a sixth of the regular season away from winning a Stanley Cup. That's how far away you are still. Like, you might as well not make the playoffs. And actually, like, I was like, Peter, and then James, Deanne's brother, was here yesterday, and he's more of a they'll do it next year guy. And I was like, they won't.
Not with this group. And like, what's different? They're just rolling out these same 4 guys every year. And they laid those eggs in game 1 and game 3. And then they showed they can play a defensive game. Like, they won 1-0 and they won 2-1 in games 5 and 6 or whatever. They were quite low scoring games. So they showed that they can lock it down.
They lost, but they lost 2-1 in overtime.
Yes.
So defense and goaltending is not the problem. They don't score any goals in the fucking playoffs.
You got $40 million on 4 players rolling around goals when it counts, right? They'll roll up a 7-2 win. Everybody gets their points
on a Tuesday night versus Columbus.
Yes.
Way to go.
But when the rubber hits the road, these guys go packing. They're simply not clutch. The only exception to that rule is Nylander. He plays good playoff hockey. He seems to bring his best game. But honestly, like Matthews, once again, I don't know how hurt he was. Tavares chipped in a bit, but this Mitch Marner, like, there's if he wanted to take half his pay, I wouldn't take him back for Toronto. Like, his exit meeting is, give me your list. What do you mean? He goes, well, we're not signing you. So give me your fucking list. He's got a couple more years on
his contract, but I know what you're
saying. He has 1. Mitch Marner has 1 year. He's going into his free agent year.
Where do you want to go?
Where do you want to go, buddy? Because, because we're for sure not fucking signing you. And if you want to bilk a team for an 8th year on this contract, we got to trade you before deadline. So where do you want to go? Because it ain't here after this year, brother. You can pack your shit and go southbound on the Greyhound.
Like on Friday night, you watched the end of that Vancouver Nashville game. It was carnage the last minute. There was fucking Vancouver Canucks play. I can't remember. The score was 1-0 at that point. There was Canuck players jumping across the ice, blocking shots, getting hit with wherever it was. Who was it? Tyler Myers. And he got, like he said in his post game interview, he got one right in the nuts. He said, and that was and that team.
It was mayhem.
It was me. It was fantastic to watch, and it was like this team wants to do something, wants to win, and like every team wants to win. I get it, but that looked like something. You look back. We talked about it last week when Colton Sissons missed that open net, and then Besser scored 2 late in game 5, I think it was, or game 4. And then all of a sudden, like that was one of those moments. You saw that Vancouver team, like how night and day the Vancouver team was to playing a little bit to win a to win a series compared to how Toronto was, because when Toronto scored with not early, I don't know, 7 minutes into the third period, I think it was, and then they just stopped. It's like they stopped. Yeah, we're good. That's all we need. And it doesn't work that way. And like that Vancouver finish was great. And like we talked about the montage that might happen at the end of the season if the Canucks were to somehow pull one off and win one. Like you have the Sissons hitting the post, you have Besser getting 2 late, and then you have that carnage that was late in the third period to hold on to that 1-0 win with a third string fucking goaltender in net. Third string. So don't anybody tell me that it was the goaltender's fault on Saturday night because it was odd that Joseph Wall was out with an injury, and who cares, whatever, because Sam Stuff only let 1 goal in regulation. It's kind of a bleeder. Maybe should have been stopped, but doesn't matter. But the way that Vancouver team clutched up, that Toronto team could play 100 of those games. They ain't clutching up like that.
They have no, and I don't know if you stuck around and watched the round table afterwards. So the Sportsnet crew.
I was forced to turn the TV off on Saturday night when that was all said and done.
Well, like Rudy and Freeman and McLean, like they're all like, oh, what a gutsy comeback, what a gutsy performance. Fuck off. The only reason they're calling this a gutsy performance is because they laid eggs in 2 of the 3 games. You show up and give them a game in game 3 at home, and this might be a different series. It's too little, too late. And maybe they started playing better because they were embarrassed. Well, good. You're embarrassed, because you should be embarrassed. Like, is this ever going to end? Is this a team to beat the streak? No fucking way. No fucking way. Not with the makeup and the leadership.
Never ever have gutsy performances. Teams that win Stanley Cups. Yep. They don't ever go, oh, that was a gutsy performance. You know what gutsy is? It means you lost.
Yeah. Well, I kind of do disagree with that, because Vancouver, that was a gutsy performance, right? With they're down to their third string goalie. They got a little bit of puck luck to get up 3-1. They lost, and now they closed it out at home. On the road. That ain't no easy feat, and good for them. Good for them. That's a gutsy performance, because they had excuses all over the place too, and they didn't let him get them down. And also too, this Keefe. Did you see his pre-game speech to the team? Oh, made me want to go fucking take a nap. He can't. He's not a leader of men. It was one of the worst fucking speeches. Pump-up speech I've ever heard in my life.
I was listening to I think it was Overdrive on when I was doing the yard work on Saturday there in the backyard. Nice day on Saturday. It was actually quite nice. And then, family and stuff. But anyways, on Saturday, and he was playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins when they won the Stanley Cup in 2011 or 12. I can't remember. It doesn't much matter. But the game 7, and he said the coach came in. I can't remember the name of the coach, and the coach said, "Who's ever played in the game 7?" And then, but a few players held their hands up. Who's ever played a game 7 in the Stanley Cup in the finals? And one guy held his hands up. And then they said, "You're out." He said, "You're all actually wrong. Everybody in here in this dressing room." This is a coach speak. He goes, every person in here has played in a game 7 in their driveway and their pond and the rink or whatever in a game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals, because nobody scores a game winner on game 43 when you're with your buddies when you're a kid. And I kind of say, you know what, that's a very good point. He goes, like go out, enjoy it, and think about those times when you were a kid doing that. And it's like, you know what, that's a good speech, because you have to try to find a way to make these players relax a little bit. Because I couldn't imagine the nerves that you would have. But having a coach come out and say, you've been there, you've done that, you celebrated it. Yes, it's dumbing it down to hockey player level, but I think that's
what you have to do. Yeah,
I think it's a great way of doing it. So remember when you were a kid, when you're playing at the fucking Rotary Rink on fucking 20th Street in Fort McLeod, that you've done this before. You've scored that big goal. You've made that big save. And I didn't hear what Keith's speech is like, but it just goes to show what kind of coach he is, what kind of franchise the Leafs are, by not jumping in the moment. Because you don't, like, if Pasternak scored some big goals in his career, he's probably going to Hall of Fame. Let's just say that fucking Mitchie Marner, if he did score an overtime winner on Saturday night, that would have, like, even if they don't win the cup, that moment would have cemented his spot in Leafs lore forever and ever and ever. If he would have been the guy to break the 1959 streak and everything else, and they just don't have that gene in that franchise. They just don't have it, which is odd because Shanahan was such a winner throughout his career. How it just hasn't trickled down to the franchise. It's odd. It's odd.
They got skill up the wazoo, but they got no killer instinct. None. They're just too soft. They're just too soft. When the game gets hard, then they go and disappear. It's too bad for that franchise, because they just drip talent, those 4 guys. But once the going gets tough, they hit the fucking highway. And the lack of accountability, it seems, that I hear from particularly Mitch Marner. Like he's going to be my whipping boy for a bit. Like, I'm going to make.
I'll bet because he's been the whipping boy for a while now, and he came into playoffs a little bit banged up. But everybody's banged up at this time of the year, and I get so sick. I get so sick no matter what sport it is. Like hockey, 82 game schedule, and baseball's 162, and football 17 plus, and on it goes. And basketball, same thing. Everybody at this point of the season, no matter what sport it is tired. Everybody at this point of the year is fucking nicked up. Everybody's got an injury. Everybody's got family. Everybody's got stuff and things and everything else. But to blame it, to say that you're to blame it on that. Every team come the day after, all the injury reports come out. So you can't use that as an excuse. You can't. Year after year, every team is banged up. And you know what? Every year, the team that wins Stanley Cup, those guys come out afterward and say, yeah, he's got a fucking this, he's got that. Every team's banged up. Every team.
Excuses are like assholes. Yeah, for sure. It's big deal. Next man up. Let's go. We're all bigger than the team. Let's get pulling in the same direction. Let's figure some shit out. But they can't figure shit out. Aside from that, Nylander, he scored that goal again yesterday. And I actually texted you after that. That game got a lot better after Nylander scored. Like, it really put some juice in both teams. And it's funny, like, it was a decent game. I watched the majority of it. It was a good game, but it was, I'm not going to say high event hockey kind of thing, that there wasn't any big hits or great plays or super saves.
It was
both teams were a little hesitant and afraid to lose more than going out to win. And when Nylander scored that goal, then it became a hell of a hockey game. It really did.
I'm glad you said that, Dave, because sometimes you hear a lot of people, whether it be in sports or just in life in general, they coast through a little bit. And I don't want to try to be a motivational speaker here, but a lot of times, and this might be just a Leafs mentality, you're afraid to lose, and I get that. You don't want to lose, so you don't give the extra effort. But I think maybe one thing is that sometimes guys are afraid to succeed because that little extra effort, that little extra oomph, that little extra whatever it might be, that little something a little bit different that you're trying a little bit differently, that you don't want to you don't want to fuck something up because this is the way we've always done things. So being afraid to succeed can also be a big hindrance. And I mean, this might sound like fucking Tony Robbins from the 1990s, but being afraid to succeed is an actual thing.
Yeah, like or like the desire to win. Your fear of losing is bigger than your desire to win. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to win. I'm going to do everything like Vancouver Canucks. We're going to do everything we have. I'm going to block a shot with my nuts. I'm going to throw my elbow. I'm going to throw my nose in front. We're not losing this game. We are going to win. It's like, oh shit, I hope I don't lose. Fuck, I hope I don't lose. And then that's the losing mindset. Like the fear of fail. Playing not to lose is the best way of losing because you will. Yeah, you gotta do the things that are gonna make you win, not the things that are gonna prevent your team from losing. If that makes sense.
What's crazy is that you have these players who obviously weren't around in 1959, obviously weren't around in 67, obviously weren't around in 92, like on and on it goes. How just or weren't on the team in 2013 when they were up 4-1 in game 6. It wasn't even game 7 yet. So these guys weren't part of the team, but how that mentality has trickled down with the Leafs, and it's not just the Leafs, it's a lot of franchises who have this, but it's crazy to think that this mentality not just trickles through Leafs Nation in Toronto and the players who go there, but it's across the country, across North America. It's just what it is. It's disheartening. Not for me to say as Leafs fan, because I was okay. Like I woke up this morning or yesterday morning or whatever. Who cares? I was a little down on Saturday night, but I was like, well, whatever. Try again next year, I guess. But me and you are different that way. It was with sports. Some people take it to heart and they smash their TVs, but it's just become like, that's what it is.
Yeah, I think as a Leaf fan, like the expectations are so low. Well, they're going to break my heart again. Like this is what happens every year, and until they even go out, like why can't they go out and win a first round series in 5 games, right? What's wrong with that? Why do you have to push it to the limit? Why do you have to lay so many fucking eggs? Oh, we got to play fucking Boston. Well, you got to beat them. Then fucking get first place.
You got to win 16 fucking games. I don't care what order you do it in.
Exactly. Well, and some people I'm hearing it now, like Edmonton and Vancouver, they're like Edmonton's getting it's fucking just laid out for them. But you know what? They took care of fucking business and they didn't make the fucking.
If anybody besmirches what Edmonton's at right now, Edmonton fired their coach 10, 11 games in, whatever it was, had to win fucking 15 in a row, whatever the fuck it was back in November after they fired their coach. Edmonton works for what they got. So for an Oiler fan or for a Leafs fan to say anything, or a Flames fan or whatever, to say anything about the Oilers, what they managed to pull off, they can fuck off and stay fucked off.
You bet. That was the exact same thing. It's a second versus third in your conference. That's they didn't make it up. Well, they didn't have to play Colorado or Vegas. Vegas was worse to them. And Edmonton spotted them a fucking 15-point lead in the standings for fuck's sake. So, like you say, like get fucked. You're going to have to beat them sooner or later. So, like, let's go. If you're going to feel bad for anybody, feel bad for Dallas having to go fucking Vegas to Colorado. And now they're going to get Edmonton or Vancouver. Like, I'll admit, like I'd way rather play the Kings and then Vancouver than have to play Vegas and Colorado. But that's the way the cookie crumbled this year. And if you want to win the cup, you're going to have to beat them sooner or later. So
you go to the other side of the spectrum. The fucking Rangers played the Capitals and the fucking Carolina played the Islanders. So whatever.
You know what? And both of them took care of business.
Move your fucking city then. Whatever. I don't know. Like fuck off.
Yeah, totally fuck off. Like, and if you're going to get first, then all of a sudden you're going to be, oh, now we got to play so-and-so. They were hurt all year, but now they're healthy for the first time. Excuses are like assholes. Just fucking beat them. Beat them then. Shut everybody up and quit looking for a fucking excuse.
You have to win 16 games and Leafs won fucking 3.
Yes.
There it is. Pretty simple.
And
They're 13 wins away.
And gifted them too. Like the try effort in 2 of those games was fucking miserable.
Like,
you got to show up every day, be a pro every fucking game. This isn't December on a West Coast swing. This is the fucking playoffs. This is what it's all about. So earn them fucking dollars. Don't tell us how good you are. Show us how good you are. And they don't. And that's frustrating.
I think we talked about this time last year, or just after maybe the second round last year, we were talking about how non-playoff teams must be thinking right now for teams that lost out in the first round, thinking, oh, fuck. We're not just 16 games behind. We're 106 games behind. Like, we're so far back. We are not, like, you watch that Colorado team, Vancouver, the Rangers yesterday went at 1-0 against Carolina, which is a very good hockey team. Like, the 8 teams that are left are all really good. The other teams that aren't, they must be thinking, fuck, we are 6 or 7 generational players away from even contending. Let alone winning a round.
I hear what you're saying, but then the Islanders, that was a success, because when Pat Roy took over, I think they were 9 points out of the playoffs, and they made significant improvements, and obviously the team isn't there, but I think making the playoffs was a success for that team, and they can call that a successful season because they're not. Of course, everybody dreams about it, but they had no realistic expectations of making a run to the cup. And we talked about the Caps. It was just like, well, fuck, if no one else wants to win, I guess we'll host 2 games. But our best player in franchise history don't give a fuck, so why would we give a fuck? So
Dale Hunter was not on the ice.
You need someone to light a spark. And I would say that play was probably the most infamous play in Caps history, but his give a fuck meter was
1993.
His give a fuck meter was running pretty high that day.
Fuck. Fucking Turgeon scored an empty netter, and fucking Dale Hunter fucking came off the top turnbuckle like Macho Man Savage pretty much on that day. Holy Christ. What a
and put him out for the playoffs, like broke bones
and
shit like that. It was vicious. One of the dirtiest hits ever.
It ranks up there. Yeah,
it was so dirty.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a marquee moment. If that happened, if that hit happens now, that guy's never playing again,
and deservedly so. Like Turgeon, he was celebrating the goal of 2 hands in the air.
Because I think he got 21 games or something for that. Jesus Christ! For a whopping total of $300,000, probably was his fucking fine. Like the game checks, yeah.
If that, yeah.
If that, no, it's like it's crazy to think that you like how you evaluate your franchise. And let's get off the Leafs for a second, but like year after year, you don't win, and year after year, let's like the Cleveland Indians and Chicago Cubs finally got one, the Red Sox finally got one, and those were all of a sudden how many years ago, right? When the Red Sox got theirs in 2004, and when the Cubs got theirs in 15 or 16, whatever it was. Like Cleveland still doesn't have theirs, and year after year, you just keep putting it out there, putting it out there. Like ownership must get frustrated. Like I wonder what the end of year meeting for these teams are that are expected to do something or maybe go forward or haven't done anything for forever. Is there some? I just thought of this. Is there somebody who's been there for 40 years, 50 years, who's been around the office? Like say she's a receptionist or is an old trainer or somebody who sits in it. He goes, fuck, I've heard this every fucking year since I started here as a stick boy in the fucking 50s, and now I'm just here because I'm just here. I hear the same fucking story year in, year out. How we got to make some changes. Maybe they should ask him or her. Maybe ask Maud, the receptionist, who's been there forever, and now she comes in 2 or 3 days a week just because that's what she does. Maybe they should actually ask the people who've been there the longest about what they got to do to win something, and because it can't hurt. Like, it can't hurt asking somebody else, because they're bringing all these fucking smart guys. They're bringing all these fucking analytics people. They're bringing all these hockey minds in. Just maybe ask John the janitor. Ask him who came from Maple Leaf Gardens, or who came from fucking Cleveland Stadium and now is at Jacobs Field or Progressive Field now, and they haven't won. Maybe ask the person who's been there the longest with the least amount of clout. Say, okay, we tried it this way. What do you think?
Yeah, what's wrong? What's missing? What are we doing? No, yeah, what are we doing wrong? We're not going to ask for player trades. Like, what do you see? What do you see? What do you hear in the thing when these guys hang out? Yeah, like, because it's not going to be worse, right?
Can't be
worse. You're not winning playoff games. Maybe. Yeah, at least the Indians, like in my lifetime, they've lost 2 World Series, right? They lost to the Cubbies.
They had some chances.
And they also lost to the Marlins that year.
Yeah, and we're strong contenders. Albert Bell and Kenny Lofton and Carlos Baerga, they were contenders back in the mid-90s.
Ossenmacher, yeah. They had
Ossenmacher.
That they had it. At least they were licking the jar. The Leafs aren't. The Islanders aren't right now, and maybe bring in winners. I guess Shanahan is a winner, but this planet, not a player anymore. But like, bring in someone, like, even if it's a second or third pairing D-man who has a ring, at least he can maybe wear off a little bit and like shit. Like, who was it?
Well, you look at Vegas last year. They brought in that Alec Martinez, who won a couple of cups with the Kings. Can't hurt.
And then you hear there's a Colorado or Vegas. I don't know who they made a trade with Buffalo, not this year. And then they had an interview with him, and it's like, holy fuck! Well, how's your first couple games here? He goes, wow. Now I see how practice is supposed to be run. Like, it was obviously a shot at a coach, but just the professional environment of you get here, you're ready, we work, we're done. That's how shit happens. There's no lollygagging around their infield. There's no lollygagging on the way to first base. We're here for a reason, and this reason is winning, and this is how we go about it. If you want to fuck around, do it in Columbus. Do it in fucking Arizona. Don't do it here.
I just don't fucking get it. Like, I just don't fucking get it. With a team with all the resources, the team with all the fucking best analytics, the team with all the this and that, and like, there's minor league facilities the Leafs have are better than fucking a lot of teams' pro facilities. Like, it's just like, to not even be close.
They don't want or need for a fucking thing. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe they do need a little. Maybe they gotta do the major league and get them an old prop plane instead of a chartered Lear for their roadies or something like fucking that.
Roger Dorn and Mitch Marner are fucking one of the same. Fucking
put him in a Motel 8.
Fucking life's great. Super 8.
Yeah, a Super 8. Let's see how you do it there. Like, everybody get their Wyndham cards. No, you guys cover it. We'll get you back. But you're
Alan,
where's the meal?
Phoenix Coyotes. Yeah.
There's a McDonald's. Yeah. Give me all your phone. No Uber Eats. Find your own fucking food. Figure it out. You spoiled pansies.
We'll call this a segment here in a second, but Wednesday night with the NHL schedule. It's fucking stupid. We talked about it last week how fucking stupid it is. Like it's stupid.
It's so stupid.
Like yesterday, they had a game 1 in the afternoon with the Carolina Hurricanes, New York Rangers, before the other round was done with a game 7 last night with the Vegas and Dallas. What kind of yes, there's building and concerts and basketball and things and stuff and TV, but quit it. Quit it. Like, don't finish. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, I don't understand the schedule, Masters. The Canucks, the Oilers haven't played since last Thursday, I think it was. They don't play again until Wednesday. The Bruins beat the Leafs on Saturday night. They're already playing right now on and they're winning actually 4-1 right now. So people who said the fucking Florida Panthers were getting a guarantee. Actually, I want to talk about Matthew Tkachuk's comments if we have a chance. But you have the Bruins playing 2 nights later in Florida, and the fucking Oilers and Canucks are sitting there waiting in Edmonton for a week.
Yeah,
where's the logic there?
Totally. Boston has all the excuses to show up and play like shit. Game 7, overtime, travel day, and then on the road, 4-hour flight. Like, they have all the excuses there. And you know what? They're out there and they're fucking taking it to them. And good for them. It's as we were talking last podcast, how they've struggled in game 7s. Now that they've won one as a group that they are right now, they're going to take a little bit and maybe rest versus rust. Fuck that shit. They've been hanging out Florida. I might be a little fat and sassy here, but they just got punched. They're getting punched in the mouth. There's only 5 minutes left in this game, and it's gonna. This should be a pretty good series, especially with Boston announcing their presence with authority right now.
No, it's I don't know if you saw yesterday, Matthew Tkachuk. They were talking about the Bruins coming into Florida, and super pest Matthew Tkachuk, ex-Calgary Flame, and bit of a. I like him. He's a good player.
He's someone you want on your team.
Yeah. You vote. You root against the guy. You want him on your team. He basically said to Leafs fans to just put the dagger right in the back, right in the spine. He said, "We were kind of expecting Boston to win." Like, I just what we were expecting. The team was not planning for Toronto to be down in fucking Sunrise, Florida this week. They're like just a shot just to make sure that the Leafs are push them down, plunger, see you later. Like, I found it quite funny.
That is funny. Like, sure, kick them all down, and it's good. It's good for rivalry. Well, I don't even know if it's a rivalry. Just to talk shit about teams you may or may not like. I don't know.
Yeah.
Back to the schedule maker thing. The other point. So the Rangers are playing tomorrow. So the Rangers and Carolina.
Someone will be up 2-0 before the Oilers
Edmonton,
and the Canucks have played a game.
A full 24 hours. Yeah. Like, not even the same day. Like, it's I don't fucking get it. But oh well. Because we talked about this too. Like, back in the day, back-to-back travel day, back-to-back. Now you got 2-3 days off in the same city, for fuck's sake. But play. You do it during the regular season. Play.
Because you lose interest. Like we talked about a couple weeks back when it first starts, the NHL playoffs are great. They come out like a bastard. And the first round's great. And then people just can't wait for it to end. And then the finals are on, and then it ends in the middle of fucking June. Get it done.
Mm-hmm.
People have shit to do. People have shit going on.
And if you want to stretch it out a little bit, the finals, sure, go ahead. But let's pound these fucking first 2 rounds off a lot quicker. Yeah. They got to do something better, because, like I say, they make them play back-to-back nights all over the place during the regular season, and that doesn't even mean at home. Sometimes they got to play back-to-back on the road.
Yeah.
Which, I get it. The Kings in Anaheim isn't there's no real travel involved, but you got to probably get on a bus in LA traffic for a fucking hour and a half, 2 hours.
7 hours to get across.
Yeah, depending on where you're going.
Sometimes a flight across the fucking country might be quicker than a fucking 401 or whatever the fuck.
No shit, right? So I don't know the answers, but like dragging this on forever is not the answer.
Who wins that? We'll ask you right now, Dave. Edmonton, Vancouver, obviously two Canadian teams. One's going to be out, which is shitty, but that's the way sports works. Who do you got on this Monday night, May the 6th? Edmonton, Vancouver. I'm going to ask you every night because next time we record is on Thursday. So we'll ask you again after game one, and we'll go from there. Who do you got winning this series and how many games?
I think Edmonton is going to win in 5 games.
That's been the prognosis a little bit, eh?
With the third string goalie and a power play that lethal, Vancouver's obviously a really good team. I saw it too, so Vancouver swept the season series, but 2 of those wins were in the first 15 games of the year when Edmonton
was 2 games.
Yeah.
It was back-to-back nights. I was actually back in October. I was in Edmonton for the Saturday night game with my brother. We were sitting in the pub because they got smoked the first night, I think 6 or 7-1, whatever it was. And then the next night when they were at home, me and Mike were in Edmonton, and it was just as bad. And they had Casey DeSmits in that. Yeah, so I mean, the regular season, I don't think it means a whole bunch at this point because they fired the coach and everything else. But yeah, I think Oilers in 5, maybe 6, but I don't want to take away from Rick Tocchet. I think actually, you don't want to give a coach too much credit, but I think Rick Tocchet might be the X factor because I would be if I was Elias Pettersson and Brock Besser. They're probably scared shitless of fucking Rick the Rocket Tocchet, guaranteed. Because fuck, man, when he was a player back in the 80s and 90s, that was one mean motherfucker.
Oh, you bet. You bet. Cost me a hockey pool. I think I told that story.
Yeah.
Because he got a 12-game suspension for eye gouging in a fight. It wasn't the Warner Stanky fish, double fish hook.
Double fish hook with a knee in the spine.
But if you're eye gouging, you're definitely playing for keeps. And so
12 games for eye gouging.
It would have been 50 games, eye gouging.
Do not pass go. Your participation is no longer required in this event.
And when you hear the term eye gouging, are you thinking someone's putting a knuckle in the eye socket or just poking the eye socket?
I'm thinking there's 2 fingers that go into the corner of the eye,
just
and
in the
turning
socket
them
there.
inside and trying to pull it out, like George Animal Steel. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking worst case Ontario, man. The eye gouge, that term was thrown around so loosely back in 80s and 90s wrestling, the eye gouge. But if you want to get down to what an eye gouge actually was, you have to dig in and pull out, to be an actual eye gouge.
And eye gouge, as I'm thinking about it, it is kind of almost even dirtier because you got to be in a advantageous position to eye gouge. You can't eye gouge in a fight if you're losing, right? So you have them, maybe you got them in a headlock and stuff, and then because you need the head to be somewhat stable and not moving to get that proper grip for the eye gouge. So you
would have to be going into said situation with the eye gouge in mind. You aren't pulling that one out of the fucking back pocket. The eye gouge, you've done it before.
It doesn't present itself it's a planned move.
Your first time you've tried it somewhere, you've talked about it with your buddies, but the first time you tried it isn't your first time.
Yeah, because there is an application of the thing. What would a guy get suspended for more, like the eye gouge or the sharpshooter, 4-figure leg lock?
On the ice?
Yeah, could you imagine slapping one of those on the guy?
fuck, if you can pull off a fucking Ric Flair, woo, figure four leg lock, that means someone wasn't back checking very hard.
Yeah.
You would get more of a suspension for an eye gouge, like an honest to God eye gouge. Oh man,
because that's you're hurting someone. You could be.
Well, you're intending long term
damage. Yeah.
A figure four, you let it go, your hamstring hurts, your knee hurts. I've never been in a figure four, but I don't think I have.
Oh, I've been in back in the day when we were the soccer teams wrestling in the pool and
they hurt. No, they did hurt. They did. Yeah, they did hurt.
Oh, you bet they did hurt. Yeah.
Fuck. And there was no getting out of that. There was no getting out of a figure four. That and a camel clutch.
Yeah, but you also had to be allowed to someone
put it on you.
Yeah, you let someone put it on. Yeah. And you know what else hurt was like the full Nelson. That hurts.
Oh yeah, I didn't like it.
When a strong person has a full Nelson on you, that hurts.
Yeah, Rob Luther put me in a full Nelson all the time, eh?
Oh, did it?
Oh, I fuck, he's a dick. That's why I don't like him right now.
Couldn't you just slide out with those shoulders of yours? Those
sparrow shoulders.
If you just put your arms up and then just went limp, you should.
I would do the Roddy Piper kick in the nuts through the legs.
The mule kick,
yeah, right in the nuts and call it good. Yeah.
Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do because no one likes being in a full Nelson. No one likes being immobilized and in pain.
No, especially at my young age back then, it wasn't very fun being bullied and everything else. Now I have a podcast where I can talk shit about these fuckers, cocksuckers. Who wins the Stanley Cup? No, the first round's over. Who wins Stanley Cup?
The Colorado. I was going to say the winner of the Colorado-Dallas series. I watched, obviously, a bit of the Boston-Toronto series. I didn't watch many other East Coast games. I don't think the talent on the East of the remaining four is as deep. It is. I think all four teams in the West would be the favorite in any one of these series in the East right now. I got to be honest.
Yeah,
I get it. The Rangers in Florida had really good seasons, but these teams that like watching Edmonton and Colorado when they're flying is amazing.
Fast. So fast. Yeah, so fast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it's going to be a Rangers Colorado final.
I'll believe that. I would guess that a Rangers Edmonton final would draw a lot of eyeballs too. That would be. I don't mind the Rangers. They're one of the East Coast teams I don't cheer for, but I don't mind them.
I want the Oilers to get there. I do. I just don't have the faith for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think they can match up with Colorado, but it's going to be a series to watch. I would love to see that series with the two fastest scorers in NHL history on the opposite sides of the puck.
Yeah, go Oil.
I hope they do well.
Watch them get swept by Vancouver. Fuck. Then what?
I even tried the suck shit Leafs, so it wasn't my fault.
Yeah. How did the boys do golf?
I don't know. I'll reach out and give you.
I hope they didn't suck shit, so that we not, because otherwise the curse is there for no matter what we say.
Yeah, but I know the suck shit. Good luck charm is not applicable for Leafs hockey, but some. I
don't think anything is.
Yeah, I was just like some curses are just too strong for
stronger than the 1420 Sports Bar podcast
for a 2-bit reverse drinks. Yeah,
there you go. 4 Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. This thing was brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. And help us keep putting this stupid shit out there and all this stuff. Anyways.
4-0, 5-1 winners. Boston. No excuses. Just wins.
Colorado beats Dallas. Oilers beat Vancouver. Boston wins in 6 over Florida, and the Rangers in 6 over Carolina. Nope. 7.
So if Carolina loses, do they fire Rod the Bod?
And he's the next head coach of
the Seattle
the
Kraken.
Toronto Maple Leafs. They'll give him $10 million a year.
Or maybe he wants to go to help his buddy out.
Ronnie Francis.
Yeah. Because I think Berube would be in Toronto, or I don't know. Maybe they might run Babcock back. Oh,
might as well.
Do you know? Here's one.
What could go wrong?
The next head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Joel Quenneville.
Actually, Peter said that yesterday. Dan's that.
Yeah, and he's all for it, I'd imagine.
Of course. It's overreaction, right? Overreaction day after. Get him. He's available.
Is he a Keefe? Does he like Keefe?
No.
Does he like
Scotty Bowman himself available to coach? That team still ain't fucking winning. No.
Not with Mitch Marner on board. Not with John Tavares making $12 million a year. Ain't no way. Ain't no. I shit on Edmonton and divorce them because they're paying 2 guys money they deserve.
Yeah.
Right?
You're never gonna win.
Without addressing the D and goalie. And it wasn't the goalie's fault. The Leafs this time.
No,
this is your horses.
They can't score goals with high-end talent. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 Beer Sports talking a whole lot.
Are you thinking of going to a game or a concert in the coming days ahead, or do you already have tickets and want to upgrade where you're sitting? It's simple. Go to SeatGeek.com or the SeatGeek app. They have tickets for all sports going on right now, as well as concert tickets to shows throughout North America. And to make things even better, use promo code 1420POD, that's 1420POD, and receive $20 off your first purchase. Once again, that's promo code 1420POD at SeatGeek.com or the SeatGeek app.
The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. This segment is brought to you by Righteous Felon Jerky and RighteousFelon.com. Go to RighteousFelon.com and save yourself 15% on the best in craft jerky by using promo code BELLYUP at RighteousFelon.com with all the great flavors, everything else got going on. I blew it last week. I was in Kalispell. I should have just went 5 minutes away from where I was sitting and got some Righteous Felon jerky, but we'll figure that out as the summer progresses, everything else. But Dave, the baseball season's a month in now, and everything a month and a little bit. Let's keep bashing on Toronto. Right now, the Toronto Blue Jays are in last place in American League East. They have 2 players who were supposed to be great, and they're one's great, one's good. And there's a scale of good to really good to this guy's great to this guy is to great to this guy's a superstar. Vladimir Guerrero just isn't the guy. He's just not. Got a home run yesterday in Washington, but the Jays, they put all their eggs in a couple of baskets, and the Jays they're just not that good.
No, and you can't. On this one, I don't think you could really blame management for roster construction. They got a decent pitching staff. This pitching staff is probably responsible for 90% of the wins they have this year, and the bats have let them down. And if the young players that they have, we were just making progression, and that's Bichette and Guerrero, and who's the other kid? The major leaguers kid.
Oh,
Bagwell.
He doesn't play very much. Biggio,
no, he doesn't.
He doesn't play.
Biggio, yeah. But if these guys were making progressions as opposed to, what are they hitting? Like low 200s. It's ridiculous how bad they are. And the Jays as a team, I thought Mattingly was a hitting guru that knew that was going to fix all these kind of problems. And I'm not blaming this on Mattingly, but it's odd that they hired him to be a hitting coach, and they're having fucking terrible years.
Well,
years that they
in
played.
Don Mattingly's defense, they actually he's the this is I found this odd back when they hired Mattingly. He's actually the offensive coordinator is his actual title. The only time I've been around baseball for a long time. He's the only offensive coordinator in baseball history. Like, I don't even know what the offensive coordinator means in baseball because is he in charge of bunting? Is he in charge of strategy? Is he in charge of hitting? Is he in charge of less strikeouts? It's like because there's offensive coordinators obviously in football where they have set plays. This is what it is, and it goes through the coach, the head coach. But I don't really know what an offensive coordinator in baseball, if the application was on Indeed, what would it say? It's fucking weird.
That is a head scratcher because, as we know in football, there's a lot of moving parts, and there's disguising plays, and there's putting players in motion to have the defense tip their hand to see what they're running. In baseball, I've watched quite a bit of baseball, and I've never known anything not to be 90 feet away from where you got to go. And I don't know if there's a way of disguising that. I don't know if you can trick a team into going into the shift to go the opposite way. I don't know.
Let's get ourselves interference on the catcher.
Teach him to sit way back in the box and with a really long looping swing, and then maybe you can catch the glove.
So that would be part of the offensive coordinator in a baseball situation where you could do that. Let's get an obstruction call at second base. That's an offensive coordinator's job in baseball. Like, it's so.
Isn't he a hitting coach? But he's a hitting coach. Isn't that what he is?
No, they have a hitting coach and the offensive coordinator.
Oh, okay. That just sounds like someone that doesn't get fired when the team can't hit.
Because you can't fire Mattingly. He's Don Mattingly. You can't fire no matter what team jersey he's wearing. Because he's been obviously a Yankee. He's been a Dodger. He's been a Marlin. He's with the Jays. And he's Don Mattingly. He's Donnie Baseball. When you name Donnie Baseball, you can't fire the guy. So you got to give him a title that won't lead for him to be at blame for the offensive woes of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Maybe that guy, maybe Donnie Baseball should grow the mustache back.
Well, he's got a beard now.
Oh, see, that's how often I watch. Oh, yeah, just grow the mustache. Get some of that hair for men, or and paint her black like the good old days.
Grecian formula.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was looking for. And then maybe he can bring back some of the mojo he had when he was playing. Because whatever the fuck the Jays are trotting out here, it ain't working. And it's the bats. It's the bats. Aside from last night, which they brought out that old horse, Alex Manoah, to throw some gasoline on a fire. I don't know. I guess he's still young and you don't owe him a lot of money, so you got to try and see what you can do.
I felt bad for Manoah last night or yesterday afternoon, whatever it was. He had at one point the Jays were up 5-1 in the fourth, I think it was, and they trotted him back out there, and he got lit up. He gave up 5 or 6 and 4 were earned and whatever, blah, blah, blah. If the Jays had any sense of fucking reality, they would have just taken him out of the game at that point, burned a few bullpen innings, and give that kid some confidence. Nope. Throw him out there, get lit up for 6, and then just well, maybe he's not that good. Like, they could have handled that. Like, I know it was May the 5th in his second season, whatever it is. But
that was his first start of the year, no?
Better.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to trot him out there. They could have put in a bullpen arm. No, go out there, fail. And then we don't got to pay you next year because we know you stink. Because his stats weren't that bad after 4.
You're right.
Well, you're trying to get what was supposed to be your franchise arm 13 months ago. They put him out there to fail yesterday.
Well, I don't know. He's the way he reacted to all his demotion and what have you last year. Like I don't have a lot of sympathy with him. If you want to fucking flap your gums and then go on the field and not post results, and you kind of get what you deserve. Like, don't tell us how good you are. Show us. And he can't. And I don't even know how well he was doing in the minors. I thought he was throwing gas
Not
down
good.
there.
No.
Yeah. Then why are you even pulling him up? Like
gas can.
Yeah.
Like I have my own
it.
conspiracy theories that they don't want to pay the guy, so they're going to make sure he fails. And then because he's under contract and on it goes. Yeah, here's your stats. We don't got to pay you. We'll release you and see you later.
Right? And just give him every fifth start, and hopefully
because if he succeeded yesterday, if they leave him at a 4 ERA or a 2 ERA after the start yesterday, what it might have been, then okay, well shit, because they're not going to win fuck all this year once again. So it's like if we keep him up here and we let him succeed, let's set him up to fail. He's pretty good. He's serviceable. Maybe like a mid bullpen guy, but fuck. You fucking throw him out there and he just gets fucking rocked. Like it's Toronto sports. It's Toronto sports.
There is always a big story, isn't there? Between the Leafs and the Jays. I don't know. I know the Raptors suck this year, but I don't really care about that. What was it? Oh, just switching back to hockey, and I'm sorry, I forgot about this. Like we're talking about Manoah, not the Jays not wanting to pay him. We talked about the Kings and that Pierre-Luc Dubois. I was listening to the 32 Thoughts podcast, and because he's so young, like when the NHL, when a team wants to buy out a player, they have to pay him 2/3 of his salary over double the amount of years left. So if he's a $10 million player, you would have to pay him $6.6 million over 2 years. But it goes down to like a third if the player's under 26 years old. And that's where Pierre-Luc Dubois is. So if they wanted to buy out Pierre-Luc Dubois, they could at a third of his salary. But they would have to stretch it over X number of years. To be that bad under the age of 26 that a team is even considering buying you out, so I don't know whose fault that is, the team or the player. It just kind of made me giggle how
that is squarely when a team blows it so badly on a player, and I think like we'll go back to we'll cycle in the Jays here, but we'll start with Dubois here. But when a team blows it so badly on a player that they have high hopes for, that's not on the player. Like, yeah, it might be a little bit because they get entitled and they have money in their pocket and on it goes. But that's got to, like, when you have I'm not on the inner workings of a franchise by any means, but when you have a player that doesn't perform to expectations, he probably wasn't that good, right? Like when everybody, if there's analytics, there's fucking psychologists, there's a, because you got owners who are investing a lot of money in these guys. Like they know what these guys are doing after hours, during hours, school, whatever. When a team blows it that badly, that's not on the fucking player. That's on the team. Like, not every time, but in general, when a team blows it on a player as badly as with Dubois, and I think badly with Vlad Guerrero Jr., because they put a lot of money in that kid's genes. When they blow it on these guys, that's on the fucking team. That's on the player.
Are we talking about possible invocation of the must trade clause?
It might be a must trade clause.
and we should have this so if you were the Blue Jays now, like who would be on the must trade club?
If Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s name was Jasper Van Robes, he ain't getting a fuck. He ain't playing one more game this season.
He's in AA right now.
Yeah. Dropping balls at first base. Fucking hitting fucking 190, whatever the fuck. He ain't
long
playing.
outs. Long outs and bad strikeouts. That's what that guy does. Like that fucking slider out of the strike zone.
Let's go back to whatever year that was when he was trolling around the Dominican with a fucking gun in his pocket. Right? If that would, and I'm not being anything. If that was some fucking AA fucking prospect, he ain't getting a fucking sniff. Nothing.
You're right. And I get that they sell jerseys and everything, but in the Jays,
you know what sells more jerseys? Teams who win.
But he hasn't signed his big money deal. He's not making his Tatis Jr. I don't like. That's all he's doing is costing himself millions and millions and millions of dollars. Like, so what do you do with the Jays? I think this is his last year. Like,
yeah, this is his big year.
And then he might have an arbitration year coming up or something like that. But in the long run, like you can't hitch your train to this horse. No way. Right? Like he's getting shittier every fucking year. How do you have your best year as a 21-year-old and now that you're 25, you can't even put the ball in fucking play? That's a 900-foot home run, a strikeout, or a long out. Yeah, or nothing.
He's hitting a $190, I think.
It's fucking awful. It's embarrassing. But
if he wasn't son of a Hall of Famer, we wouldn't know who the fuck he was.
I agree, but did have that great year as a 19-year or 20-year-old. Like, great's a little strong, but a very
really
promising, a really promising first year into Major League Baseball. It really is. And then
but that goes to the franchise doing their homework.
But how come him and Bichette aren't like fucking figuring this out themselves? They're both sons of major leaguers, and they're both been through the trenches together. Like
different trenches, man.
Different trenches. Know.
Like the trenches those guys went through to get there, to the trenches that these guys get to get there now, they're different trenches.
It must be like a little bit more of
you look at the Holiday kid. Went first overall to Baltimore a couple of years back. Was hitting gangbusters in fucking in AA, AAA, in 350, whatever it was. Went up to Baltimore and hit $128.
And they punching him back down.
They sent him down, and now he's down in AA, AAA, whatever it is right now, and he's having it. It's getting bad. You know what? It's not fucking your opposing pitcher doesn't give a fuck what your last name is because they want a job too.
Yeah,
they don't give a fuck who you are.
And if you're on fire,
and then when you get put down a size a little bit, people will. It's shitty, but people will pitch harder against these guys, and I get it. But if I'm a pitcher, I don't give a fuck who that kid is. I'm looking for my job. I don't care if it's Jackson Holiday or Vladdy Guerrero or Dante Bichette's kid. I don't care.
Especially the hotshot rookies coming up. Like, because regardless who's on the mound, whether you're an all-star or a bum, you're going to give this kid a welcome to the big leagues moment. Like, you think you're hot shit, you haven't seen my shit, and there's a reason. There's that these guys are fucking pitching in the major leagues. There's so many of them that we don't know a third of their names. We'll never know that every single one of them is better than anyone they've seen up to that point in their entire career. And now it's like, holy fucking shit. Like, I'm just guessing out there. And it shows you how hard it is, A, to be a professional athlete, and B, hit in the major leagues. Like, hitting's hard.
The hardest thing in sports.
Hitting is fucking hard. And now you got guys that are trying to stay on payroll themselves.
And don't care who I am.
And don't care who you are. They might know who you are, but they don't care. Or maybe they do care, and then they dig a little deeper because they're not going to let some fucking hotshot, some bonus baby touch them up.
Well, and that's one thing. Like you look at that Holiday kid and everything else. That but he looks like he's 12. But like it's crazy how he's 20 years old or whatever he is, and he was hitting 3 whatever because confidence was high. In AAA, he goes to the big leagues and he's got whoever pitching against. I can't remember who was his first series was against, and he was just out of place, right? Because confidence, right? Like all of a sudden, like, oh fuck, what am I doing here? Oh fuck, what am I doing here? Like,
and especially that, like, yeah, like this,
and that's gotta be tough for that kid too. Like
right.
I was so good at every level I ever played at. And then all of a sudden, oh fuck!
This game has been easy for me my entire life, and now I don't have a fucking clue. Right? Like I can imagine how humbling and how damaging to the psyche that can be, because confidence like that, especially for someone that young, it's a balloon, and it just takes a pinprick, and then now you just got a fucking piece of rubber on a string, and no one's really impressed with you anymore.
It don't take much because you have such a short window to win, right? All these teams we talk about all the time, we have such a short window to win, and like owners' patience runs pretty low. Like, all right, well, fuck off.
And you would think Baltimore would be one of the better teams to bring a kid like that up.
But their window's right now.
No, I disagree with that. They got a 5-6 year window easy. Like with I don't know what their pitching staff is like, but like with the Rauchman and who's that second baseman that's all world
Gunner Henderson,
yeah. So between those two guys, take him under the wing. I imagine they did, because they both seem like really solid dudes. They were trying to help him and figure it out, but you it's not like you're coming into a locker room with Barry Bonds in his fucking lazy boy chair and headphones in the corner.
That would have been a good locker room.
The San Fran locker room back in the day.
Yeah.
I think the locker room got such shit while they started winning World Series after Barry Bonds left.
Well, this is true.
I think that would have been a more fun locker room than Barry's Palace.
Yeah, it's no, it's the Jays are in trouble. We'll get back to that, and then we'll get to some who is better here. But the Jays are in trouble, Dave. Like and I can honestly say that that's another Toronto franchise that put all the rigs in 2 baskets, and it ain't working. It ain't working.
It's definitely not working, and
because they're paying those guys a good chunk of change right now.
Yeah,
and they're both, and I think Bo's a better player by a long shot than Vladdy. Vladdy's one of those guys that you are never going to win with when he's on your team. Never. And never's a long time.
Yeah, unless something changes, because he doesn't seem to think. I'm watching Sports Center as we're talking here. Sheldon Keefe will not be at the Friday end of season press conferences.
They hung him already. He's dead.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
He had a dentist appointment.
He's hanging a loose moose.
Yeah, he had to bring his kid to ball practice, so he might be running.
Yeah,
away.
he's just busy. Yeah.
Anyways.
Dave, let's get some who is better. We'll call her a night.
Sounds good.
Dave, who is better? Overtime game-winning goal, series-winning goal by the Boston Bruins on Saturday night, David Pastrnak, or the Hoff himself, Knight Rider. I can't remember his name on Baywatch. Who is better, David Pastrnak or David Hasselhoff?
I will say this. One of them has made a lot more money on a lot less talent. Like the gods smiled on David Hasselhoff's career, how he got Knight Rider, which
pop star was in Germany.
In Germany, and you know what? I remember seeing like a documentary or kind of thing, and he was doing like a live concert on NBC because he was so big in Germany, and he was going to launch his career to be a pop singer in America. And it was the day of the O.J. Simpson.
That's right.
So not one eyeball, tens and tens of eyeballs saw his introduction into the North American music pop scene. So despite him being under the right star and making a shit ton of money for being at best a B- actor, Knight Rider and Baywatch were as campy as it fucking gets. Even though Pasternak's only 27, this one has to go to Pasternak because he's doing it on talent, and I think I think the Hoff did it on luck.
I watched. I was 83, 84, whatever Knight Rider came out, but I might have watched 8 episodes of Baywatch.
Same. Like I didn't watch
it was on
at
Fox
all.
on Fridays, and I was busy being cool on Fridays.
Something, and it was just so campy. Like it just wasn't good. Sure, it had Pamela Anderson and that other Yasmin Bleeth. It had some pretty girls on it in bathing suits, which is fine. But I know where to buy a Playboy too, so I can watch Playboy anytime I want, not Fridays at 7:30.
Yeah, I was busy being cool. Anyways, Dave, who is better? He's on the Sportsnet telecast. LA King with Stanley Cup Finals in 1993 with the Kings. Kelly Rudy or Al Bundy's daughter, Kelly Bundy.
It's funny. So many of my friends loved. I did not like Married with Children. I did not care for that. I didn't find. Kelly Bundy would have been like number 3 or 4 on Melrose Place or 90210. So I think she was a little bit second rate. I didn't really care for her.
Really?
I just didn't care for the show. And even though
the show now was, I thought that Kelly Bundy, she was the kind of girl that I could not trick, but chat with. Have some fun. I would never have taken her home to Steve and Margaret. I would never try to trick her. It was like, hey, have a beer at the fucking bridge on a Saturday night, whatever it was. She wasn't my kind of girl that I would have tried to have fun with, but she would have been a good time, I think.
I don't doubt that. I'll give you that. I don't doubt that. But, it just wasn't my bag. And, Kelly Rudy wasn't my bag either when he was a professional hockey player. I've definitely warmed up to him as a commentator, as it so turns out. He's much. I didn't dig on. I thought he was B+. He wasn't a great goalie. He was a very good goalie. The blue towel he always wore around his head. He made a career out of that overtime game when he was with the Islanders. He did okay with the Kings. Didn't win him the cup. And let's give this one to Kelly Rudy. Kelly Rudy over Kelly Bundy.
Sorry,
go.
No, I agree. Like Kelly Rudy's, when he first started his broadcasting career, he was so master of the obvious. I was like, Jesus Christ. But he's gotten better.
Yeah, he's speaking with more confidence and what have you. He's not trying too hard anymore.
Dave, who is better? Hollywood icon Sharon Stone or recently kicked or beat out of the playoffs Las Vegas Golden Knights captain, ruptured spleen, sliced spleen, whatever it was, Mark Stone.
Sharon Stone has one of the most iconic scenes in history. With that parting of the legs shot while she's being questioned, that was iconic, and I'm trying to remember that was Basic Instinct. No,
Yes,
that was with Michael Douglas.
yeah,
That was quite some time ago. I would say right around
Casino, I think, as well too, right?
99, 2000. Pardon me.
She was in Casino as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's been in a lot of stuff. Nothing great, and she was good. And Mark Stone, once again, the age differential is so huge on these boys. Sharon Stone could literally be Mark Stone's mom with the age difference.
Sharon Stone
for that.
probably his grandma.
Because Mark Stone's about 27, 28-ish.
Yeah, he played Brandon not that long ago. Yeah, so he's a junior hockey player like 8 years ago. It was a long time, but yeah.
Yeah, and he's really good. Stanley Cup champion.
Come from 2 debilitating injuries to come back from the dead.
And he has obviously the heart of the lion to be able to come back from these ridiculous career-ending injuries in 6 short weeks. So let's give this one, just for his regenerative powers, Mark Stone.
Mark Stone over Sharon Stone. That's
yeah.
I hadn't seen Casino until about 4 or 5 months ago. That's a good flick, man.
She was psycho, hey? Woo.
Yeah. Well, she got driven a little bit crazy from,
but I get
it. De Niro plays a great gangster.
Oh, doesn't he? Oh. And then to Joe Pesci, when he was dilling her on the side, it's just his physicality and voice is so hilarious to me. I don't know how people could get romantic with him and not fucking laugh, because you would have to sit down on a chair to see eye to eye and then hear his voice. And I love Pesci. Fuck, I love Joe Pesci, but he's a bit of a funny physicality person.
I got 2 more. Dave, who is better? Stanley Cup champion, Hockey Hall of Famer, GM, president of the Seattle Kraken, Ron Francis, or Richie Cunningham, Ron Howard?
Ron Francis had a career forever. Finally won his cup. He went he won more than one, right? Because he was Oiler. Did he win a couple with Pittsburgh?
No.
And then he went to, I believe he was in Florida. He took them on a cup run.
No, he was Carolina.
And then he for sure won one with Carolina in the end. And a great guy. He's now the GM of the Seattle Kraken. He's going to hire Rod the Ball if they lose. I think that's the inside of that. It's just me spouting bullshit. And who is the other one?
Ron Howard. Richie Cunningham.
Ron Howard,
producer, and the thing.
Oh yeah, Ron Howard has a hell of a career first as an actor and then as a movie director.
I wouldn't call being Richie Cunningham an actor.
But he's been in the business. He was
forever.
He was the kid show in black and white when he was 8 years old. Is how long he's been acting. And if you look at his MDB page, I'm not going to look at the good ones. Apollo 13 comes to mind.
Oh yeah,
what else he did, but he did some blockbusters. I'm going to give this one to the hockey player. I'm obviously athlete heavy today. Ron Francis, Hall of Famer, I believe.
Oh yeah,
maybe not.
Yeah. He could cut his career in half, still be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, we're gonna give this one to Ronnie Francis. Because he's still making a difference, and we'll see how good he is as a GM.
Last one for the night. This might change away from the athlete, and this is I can't remember how I even came up with this one tonight. But who is better? Skateboarder Hall of Famer, the only skateboarder that I actually know, Tony Hawk, or the bad guy, Tony Montana.
Tony Montana from Scarface.
Yes.
That was the fictional one, and he was a bad guy. That movie traumatized me.
But fucking just like Zero to Hero and everything else, and I'm not trying to sway and Tony Hawk is actually like I'm not a skateboard guy, never have been, but he's fucking like this one to me is a tough one
because Tony Montana was a bad guy. I remember that scene. I was, like I said, I think I might have been 16, 15, quite young. I can't believe that my parents I watched that with my parents, or maybe it was like a Super Channel free weekend, something like that was when I watched it. And when the bad guys made him watch them fucking slice his buddy's head with the chainsaw, I'll never forget that. Say hello to my little friend is one of the most iconic lines in movie history.
Yeah.
And him burying his head in that giant mound of coke at the very end where you got all that's. And I haven't seen that movie a bunch of times because after I watch it,
I see it, I watch it. Every time it's on, whatever, I watch it.
I don't know if I've watched it 3 times because I was so traumatized when I was young. It was like, fuck, that was a little too heavy. Maybe I'll take a look and try and find it sometime. Tony Hawk is an icon. He's the only skateboarder. He's the Wayne Gretzky of skateboarding. He's the Tiger Woods of skateboarding, right? Like he put it on the map. He got people paid for doing that. Like I would hope the X Games cuts him a check every time because there is no X Games without that guy. He was so iconic.
I agree with that.
And because of the difference he made for a sport and millions and millions of skateboards and vans and bones and shit I don't even know about. I know about because of Tony Hawk, and I'm not a skateboard guy, and he seems like a pretty solid dude. I've listened to a couple of interviews. So I'm going to give this one a sizable margin, 70-30 to Tony Hawk.
See, I thought you may have watched Scarface a few more times because, I agree that Tony Hawk's better. Well, one, he's a real person, but I would have went about 52-48 with iconic things, right? Just
because Scarface as a movie that must have came out like 84, 85.
I would think about because that was before. I'm going to sound like a complete dork here, but that was when Michelle Pfeiffer was in Grease 2. Just recently after that, she went from Grease 2 to Scarface.
1983 was Scarface. Yeah, because like I say, I know I watched it at home, and it was and so maybe like on a free pay TV thing or something like that.
No, and now whenever it's on whatever AMC I watch Scarface and Goodfellas. If it's on, I watch it. I might have plans. I'm not leaving, and I don't know why. I'll watch. Okay, I'm watching. I love Scarface.
Yeah, see, and I don't love it. Like honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen it front to. I did watch it that first time front to back.
If you watch it front to back at your age right now, your ratio might change a little bit for how if you want Tony Hawk, that's fine. But I think your Tony Hawk to Tony Montana ratio might change a little bit.
and you might be right, but it's just, yeah, it's one of those things that it actually did traumatize me a little bit when I watched it the first time at such a young age. And I'm not from the hard streets of Fort McLeod where we where we run things a little looser than my private Christian school upbringing. Maybe I'm not going to be.
Well, maybe that's it. The hard streets of Fort McLeod is what made one of those things where we're like Scarface is like, what we doing on Saturday night. I don't know.
That's what. Yeah, let's instead of let's shooting gophers, let's watch Scarface.
Shoot gophers, watch Scarface, and sing Kumbaya, whatever the fuck it was going to be. No, I think because the weather's supposed to be a little adverse this week, Dave. Maybe you and Jasper should sit downstairs and watch Scarface.
There is no chance I am opening the door to Scarface. But do you know what is on our family to-do plan? We're going to watch Bull Durham together as a family.
Nice.
Yeah, the wife has decided that that's not too bad a show. It's just swearing. There's not even any nudity in that one. And,
there's not, and that's the funny thing about baseball compared to hockey. Like the coming out the passage is like with hockey, it's slap shot where there's some nudity, and then the other way with baseball, it's a little but there's no nudity. Some swearing. Right. Bull Durham's a great movie.
Bull Durham, I love it. Like, and I remember at the time it was Bull Durham in Major League, and there's a bunch of people I hung out with. They way preferred Major League, and I was like, that doesn't hold a candle. It's a good movie, and it's a funny movie, but don't get me wrong, Bull Durham is 10 times the movie that Major League is.
Bull, we should actually. We talk off air. What's a better movie, Slapshot or Bull Durham?
Yeah, let's put a pin in that one. And I mean, like, we'll have to.
You know what I mean? Like,
because we can talk about that.
They're both so iconic, and the setup for both is the same, but just like one was in the 70s, one was in the 80s, like.
Yeah, similar but different.
And the coming of age on a hockey bus compared to the coming of age on a baseball bus, it's just what it was. Like, it's just what, yeah.
Yeah, it's because like I said, I've said it. I've watched Bull Durham 20 times. Like, for sure. Yeah. It's such a good movie to me, and then it's more than baseball, right? Slapshot was a comedy that centered around hockey. Whereas
that was a way of life back in the 90s. That was a way of life.
It was a way of life. Well, on the bus, yeah, I can only imagine how many times you saw that.
Oh, every time. Anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer sports talking a whole lot more. Take care of each other, but more importantly, take care of yourselves and you're around. Keep sticking the ice, tomorrow, safe.
I don't want Jim swinging at high pitches. I forgot all about the song tonight. Jim, play something from Jimmy Valentine. I think you know his catalog.
You better.
Take us out with some Valentine tonight.
Take us some Valentine tonight, Jim. Have a good night, folks. We'll talk to you on Thursday night.
Night, everybody.